Hey, Caroline.
Hey, how you doing?
Not bad, not bad. We're actually just FYI, I'm streaming to YouTube, so
Okie doke.
just let me
Cool,
turn.
cool, cool. Okay. I am going to rename myself and I am going to grab my coffee, which has just been heated up.
All right,
Let me
awesome.
just do that first and I'll be with you.
Okay, I'll rename you if you want.
Cool. No, I've done it now. I'm going to do it as Desange because that's what I am on Facebook, even though it's a bit confusing for people.
Gotcha. Maybe we
Okay.
announce that again today too.
Yeah, that'd be great. I've not been building followers or anything. Pretty busy doing other stuff at the moment, so I need to give that some attention. Okay,
Awesome.
I'm going to just grab my coffee. It won't be a sec.
Okay, all right, go ahead. Let me turn the volume down.
Oh, no, I've done.
Turning the volume down. All right, guys, so welcome to another episode of a Monday Morning Meetup. We're going to get this bad boy started. There's my desk here.
I've just done that.
What's that?
I've just done that.
Oh, you just
stand-up desk. Yeah, I got a new one. It's amazing.
Yeah, maybe let's talk about that as well. So here, I'm gonna let everyone in. 3,
Yeah,
2,
cool. Here we go.
boom. Here we go.
Hey everyone, happy Monday.
Happy
Monday. Happy Monday. How are you doing, everyone? The sun's shining here in the UK. We're always happy when that happens over here.
I know, I'm waiting for the sun. You know, the sun only shines when I'm leaving the UK for some reason. It's like every time I'm heading to the airport, that's when the sun comes out. You guys must be trying to tell me something. I think, and I just thought about that. Maybe you guys are trying to tell me something. The 3 or 4 times I've been there, the entire period, it's gloomy, there's overcast, and then it's like the day that I'm leaving, the sun comes.
We have a heat wave. Oh, wow, that's weird, isn't it?
Very, very weird. I'll tell you
I wonder what that's all about.
Hey. So hopefully everyone, actually, I'm gonna start recording because I had to pause the recording.
Yeah.
Right, and then I'll start from the very beginning. 3, 2, 1. Right. So hey folks, welcome to the Monday Morning Meetup. My name is Ty Cohen with my co-host, the amazing, lovely, talented Caroline Trainer / Caroline Desange. If you're following her on Facebook, we're actually going to talk about that in just a moment. Hopefully, look, this was just Mother's Day weekend, so hopefully you guys had a great Mother's Day if you're in the US, and if you're outside of the US, hopefully you just had a great weekend. And if you're a mom, hopefully you had an extremely good weekend as well. I wish Caroline happy Mother's Day this weekend, and she's like, oh, I forgot that it was Mother's Day weekend here in the US. So
Yeah. I should have prepped that better because I could have had 2 Mother's Day, 2 lots of presents,
yeah.
two days of people pampering me because the children will go all out on Mother's Day. So I completely forgot, and then I realized I had to wish my readers happy Mother's Day. I forget it's Canada, US. I think it's New Zealand as well, isn't it? Mother's Day in New Zealand.
Let us know if there's anyone that's in New Zealand or anyone that knows, or if you're in another country outside of the US, did you also celebrate Mother's Day yesterday? I'd be interested in knowing. So
any excuse to celebrate, honestly, whatever it is. We do Thanksgiving here, whatever. But I missed yesterday, been so busy. But how are you today? Hi, how was your weekend?
My weekend was great. It was good. So I've been in monk mode, which explains why I look a little bit disheveled with my hair. I need to go get a haircut and I need to get a trim. But I've been really focused. I've been in monk mode with myself. So working out my personal development. I've been in monk mode with the family. So I moved my son Tyler out of his dorm on Friday. So now he's back home, and just spending time with the family. We went to an amazing concert on Saturday. We went to a Pitbull concert, actually. So Pitbull.
Did you? Wow.
And I was so surprised. So there were maybe about 10,000 people that were here. It was literally maybe about 20 minutes away from us. Half of them, who would you guess So if you guys are familiar with Pitbull, the rapper slash singer, who would you guess his audience was? Put it in the chat box. I'm just curious because I was totally surprised by who his audience was.
I know the answer to this. Yeah.
So his audience was half 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Everybody, Victor, absolutely. And then half like 50, 60-year-olds. I was really surprised. I mean, you had Black people there, white people there, you had Spanish, a good amount of Spanish people because he's Cuban, of course. Indian people, Asian folks. I was just really, really, really blown away. So the story for me there was, look, regardless of who you are, regardless of where you come from, because this guy has had a really tough life. He was an immigrant from Cuba, then came over to Miami, lived in one of the worst neighborhoods in Miami. That's why he calls himself Mr. 305, right? And was determined to have a global audience. And as a result, he's worked with some of the biggest artists on the planet: Christina Aguilera, Jennifer Lopez, Iglesias, whoever, I forget his name.
Julio Iglesias.
Yeah, right. So he's worked with everyone. So that's allowed him to capture the audiences of all of these people. Now, how does that relate to you guys? Well, you guys can do the same thing, right? So when you go in and you kind of communicate and you share with other authors, you share with other business owners, you JV, you joint venture with other people, what you're doing is you're capturing their audiences. You're building up off of their credibility and bringing their credibility over to you. Right. So that happens a lot. And I think he's a master at doing this. I saw where he was on one of Grant Cardone's stages about a year ago. And another thing that I was surprised by is that he's built 12 schools. So from K all the way up to 12th grade. So kindergarten up to 12th grade. One of them is in Miami, and then he's got 11 others spread out across the US. Because he himself never went past high school. So he never graduated high school and he never went to college or anything like that. But it was a teacher that changed his life. So one of his teachers in high school said, listen, regardless of who you are, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of where you come from, you can be anything that you want. And that totally changed his self-image of himself. So he wants to give back to other children and to teachers and everything else. So that was
I told you that I saw him in Las Vegas it was before COVID, and he was doing it was a network marketing event, so it was like 4 years ago, I think, and he was doing a motivational talk straight after Les Brown.
Wow.
And he then performed, but the motivational talk performance was obviously excellent, but the motivational talk was insanely good. He's such a good public speaker. And like you say, with a big story. So yeah, I shared that last week, I think, didn't I? Yeah, he's a great guy. Oh, fab. That's exciting weekend. Mine wasn't like that. Mine was real monk mode. I have for the next month, guys, you've just got to bear with me. I have got one hell of a month coming up. I'm in monk mode, launching a pen name, but I've also got both Maliha and Indy in their final exams starting today. So it's full on, and then back and forth with Anisha to her base camp. So we need to get her driving. So it's really busy, but it's one of those things where it's just sort of the spotlight on. I love being busy, so don't worry about it. Cynthia's just hang in there. No, I'm good. But it's just saying that I won't be on Facebook very often or messages very often, but I'll still do my thing. We've got the Get It Done challenge coming up, haven't we? I'll be doing that. Yeah. But I think the beauty of this is when you have to pivot and be around more, when you've got your own business, you can just do it. I've just sort of rejigged the day today so I can get Anisha back to her base camp and then get back home again. That's like a 3-hour thing. I just couldn't do that if I was still at Lincolnshire Police, I couldn't leave the office. So it was a big call for me to just remember and be grateful, because it feels like a different life when I worked, and it's only 3 years ago. Yeah, it's weird. It's like I've forgotten how, when things weren't great, I've forgotten how bad that was, and you then start to take things for granted. I try not to do that, but just the ability to be able to rejig things, focus and be there for your kids is great. I wouldn't be here when the kids got home from school. I'd be getting in late at night. And so when they're doing their exams, I can just literally do everything around them to make them feel calm, secure, and yell at them when they're not revising. So yeah. So it just makes you realize the power of having your own business, whatever that business is.
It does. And it's a reason to strive for it too, you know. So like I said, my son Tyler, he goes to UNC. So he had to be out of his dorm Friday, right? And me just going up there. So I got up there just after 9 in the morning, because it's a couple of hours away from us, and just helped, you know, me and him, we just moved everything out of his dorm. And I couldn't do that when I was working at Walgreens, right? I probably could have, because towards the last years of me working there, I had so much freedom. As long as I put in my 44 hours, because I had to put in 44 hours. And they didn't want me to go anyway, so they would just let me do anything. But it was still asking, which I hated. I hated asking a supervisor or someone for time off, especially when it came to spending time with my family. Or the thing that I really hated was if I had to ask for time off being sick. So I would be in a crisis sometimes. I would go in a crisis in the morning and be freaking sick as hell and still go into work, because I was responsible for opening the doors of the store and letting everyone in, and the cashiers, and getting everyone right at a period. And it was like I would rather die than have to ask someone for time off, and to ask another man. It was just my foolish ego, right, at that point, and to admit that I was sick and everything. But simple things I couldn't do when I was working for Walgreens. So I want to ask you a question, Caroline, before we jump into our quote. Let's not forget our quote, because I think that ties into this. Do you feel like a different person? Because I feel like a totally different person.
Totally, to the extent that actually sometimes it feels off when I hang out with people that I used to know. In a different world, a different me, different world. Then you realize, oh my God, you know, do we just moan about everything all the time? So that's I've got to be careful of. I don't mean judging people. These are great people, but I had to move away from quite a lot of people to get to where I needed to be. And that was really hard. And so, yeah, I feel like a completely different person. Believe me, I'm still developing as an entrepreneur. It's going to take some time to sort of be totally, we were going to talk about determination today, but be totally okay with adversity when it comes up, you know. So that's all just sort of work in progress. But I'm a completely different person to the person that I was 3 years ago. In fact, tomorrow I am meeting a lady, the amazing woman who is my mentor in my network marketing business. We're going to talk about how can I just build something on the side with a team online and make this work. And she said that things had evolved since COVID, so there's lots of different ways we can do this, and she'll support me. So I thought, okay, well, I'll meet. And I just said to her, just before we meet, just to let you know, I'm not that same person anymore. Life just changed over the last 3 years. So, you know, but I'm very open to talking about this. It's an amazing business model. And let's see how we can sort of work together and collaborate. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, she's incredible. She's an entrepreneur. She just has an amazing business. She moved away from people that she didn't want to be with and the world that she had before years ago. She's been doing network marketing for 20 years. She's one of the biggies in network marketing. So it's going to be a great conversation. And she's someone I dip into when I need advice on my supplements, skin, because she's the expert for the whole of the global company. She does all the training, helps with all the product development and everything. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her. So I've sectioned out a few hours to meet her tomorrow. And so that'll be really cool. But yeah, different person. It feels like 13 years that I've been doing this business and not 3.5, you know. It's crazy. And I think that one of the biggest things for me is that you sort of, as you go along, you think, I've learned that it's not about that's it, I'm done now. It's sort of, oh my gosh, I'm still very much in baby build mode. It's a baby business, because I thought, well, when I get to X, then I'll just like, you know, and it's weird because everything just changes. You just invest more into the business, you expand, so you sort of never get it done. you
And
know,
then your reasons why it started to change. Like that's been the biggest eye opener for me, is the reasons why. Right? Because at first it was my reason why was me, very selfish. So when I was in my 20s, my teens and my 20s, my reason why was just me. That's it. And then as I go into my mid 20s, I have my first daughter, Maya. My reason why became her, because I never thought I would have kids. I was always, me and my son Tyler was talking about this yesterday, because he's like, you know, Dad, I want to just have one kid. That's it. Right. And I'm going to have my kid when I'm in my 30s. And I'm like, Tyler, you got to be careful, because the universe has a very interesting way of humoring us. Right. I never thought
have triplets.
Yeah, right. I never thought I was gonna have kids, and now I got 4 of them. Right. So we all went on Mother's Day yesterday. So in my late 20s, then my daughter Maya became my why. Me and her mom, we didn't get along, because at that point in my life, I also was transitioning into a different version of me, and she was still there. And then in my mom has always been a part of my why, right? But as she got older and I started to get into my 30s, then she became more of my reason why, right? So your reason why is always going to change, and sometimes you'll add on to them, right? And so now my family, and I'm having more children, my other children become more of my reason why. And then I start to become more cognizant of my health. So now I've got all of these reasons why: my mom, my children, my wife, of course, me, my health, right? And then as I go into my 40s, you guys, people that I know and people that I don't even know start to get added into my reason why. So it always continues to grow. And now as I'm older than 40, as I'm past 40, I hate to say the word too. I'm not gonna even say the word. All right. So there's 2 words I don't say. That word that starts with the F, and I also don't say the word that starts with the G, grand. So those 2 words.
Daughters.
Right, my daughter's daughter. Right.
Yeah.
So the reason why it starts to expand, and just like you said with your business, right? Your business starts to grow. And I think that's why you see people like Elon Musk, or you see like a Jeff Bezos, or you see like, the founder of Spanx, right? Who they can, I mean, at any moment they could stop and they could just go live a life of luxury forever. But they have these evolving reasons as to why that keeps them super determined to move on. And
I think like you're saying, at first it's about you, then family, and then you can, once you're all stable, then you can go off and well, you could do it on the way, but in terms of making a big impact and investing all your time in other people, it's powerful. I'm not I always like to say this, and that I'm not dissing having a job either, because if you love it, I loved my careers, and I wouldn't be who I am in business today if I hadn't have had that 25 years in London. I was talking to Nimish, and I talk about this all the time in terms of our backgrounds. We've been there, done it, and that helps. But I was talking to Anisha the other day, my eldest, for any of those that are new here, who's 20, coming to 21 next month, and I was saying to her, oh my gosh, you have got the best job, because she's doing at the moment sort of 5-hour days. Same money, and she's got the coolest role, extremely exciting role, and lots of promotion opportunities and free healthcare, and she needs to go to the dentist today, she can get an appointment today. The military really look after their people in the UK. I'm sure they do in the US as well. But I was saying to her, what a great job, and you've got your accommodation there, you've got everything, and you've got your home just 45 minutes away now. It's cool. I said, do not leave. Just build your micro offers business on top of that, because you've got stacks of time at the moment to do that, and all weekend off. I mean, she's going on deployment abroad soon, So it'd be a bit different. But I said to her, you know, this is what you've been planning for the last 2 years. You've gone from 13-hour shifts to
Wow.
5, and it's just and developing. It's a great job. So there's loads of great jobs out there. And for me, it's about choosing something that you love. And there are people in this business like Brian that have kept his day job, hasn't he? Despite when he hit 40k a month, etc., and he's consistently been earning for 3.5 years, great money, because he decided to do something else with that and keep his day job. And so that's the great thing. You can do this. You can do this without having to do it 10 hours a day. So yeah, it's fantastic. But you've got to have the determination and the why. That's the key. Which is what we're talking about, I guess, today. Shall I share our quote?
Yeah. So today's topic, if you haven't guessed, is determination. So it's the determination that you need when things don't go the right way, but determination you need when, ironically, things do go the right way. That's something that I suffered from, to be honest with you, several times in my life, is getting to a point that I could have only imagined getting to earlier in my life, and now getting complacent and getting relaxed, right? And knowing that there's still so much more work to do. So determination comes in when you're not where you want to be, but determination also comes in when you are where you want to be, and you know that there's more that you can do. There's more potential within you. So you were talking about your job. I love my job at Walgreens. So maybe about 1 or 2 individuals that I did not really like, but I could have done without seeing on a regular basis. But I love the customers that came in. I love the people that I worked with. We had fun. We laughed. But the hard part for me was knowing that there was more out there. Like and it took me, I think I might have told you guys before, it took me about a full year to actually get the nerve to quit. I put in my resignation 3 or 4 times, and they would always beg me to stay. So it took me about a year to actually quit, because I liked the job. I liked the people, except for those 1 or 2. Miss Press, if you're watching, you're one of them that I did not like. But it was just like, look, I know that I felt like I was hitting this ceiling. But I got promotion, and I'm hitting the ceiling. And I'm like, I can't do this for the rest of my life and have this uncertainty as to what else I could accomplish if I just try to fly on my own. And it was the scariest thing that I ever did. We just had my daughter, Maya. She was like 3 months old when I quit. And everyone told me that I was crazy for doing so. You're invested you're invested in you're fully invested in their stock sharing program. You got a new daughter, right? You have great insurance. They love you at the job. They love you at the job until it's time for them to get rid of you, right? As what happened with boss and being at his job for 20 years. And then all of a sudden, in a 3-minute phone call, they said, "Hey, Lenny, we don't need you anymore. Bye-bye. You've been here for 20 years. Thank you. But we found someone that's cheaper." They didn't say that, but that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
Right? That's it. We found someone that's younger, or we found someone that's cheaper, or we learned how to automate your process. Bye-bye. Right? So
I think for me, it was 3 things that I wanted to move away from in life. And that was 1, someone deciding my financial worth, and capping my income.
Yeah.
You know, at the time I was very well paid, when I was training lawyers, but I was training people that were earning 10 times what I was earning, you know. And number 2, the politics of organizations. Not into politics, don't do it. Never, not interested in talking about anyone, not interested in screwing anyone over, not interested. Yeah. And the third thing was just this whole thing where someone is, or I'm making the decision to work for somebody or an organization that's saying, this is when you need to be here, this is when you can leave, and you're allowed 20 days off a year. That's just the opposite of what I was born into. We're all born into freedom. So for me, it was those 3 things that I moved away from. All the other stuff, a lot of the people, the work, it's fabulous. the perks fabulous, you know, the benefits, all those sorts of things. So I think it's that, but I think that if people here are building their businesses on top of jobs, I would just sort of say that that's a good thing. And I got a stable business before I left
I did too.
job. Yeah, and it's interesting because you think that, you know, okay, say you work 8 hours a day and then you do a couple of hours on your business in the evening, you think, oh my gosh, if I had every single day, I could do 10 hours, 15, whatever a day. But it's amazing how possibly more productive you can be during those days where, you know, you're working and you're building on top. But essentially, what I found was that when I was building, it was making me dislike more and more the job, and that was the determination.
It opened your eyes up to the freedom and the options. That's probably what it was.
Yeah. Not to say that it's not fear-based, but anyway, I have got a quote as well. Shall I just read out what I sent you last night?
Sure.
So I got some people in the waiting room, I just realized.
I just let them in.
Yeah. Okay, so we are talking about determination. And Og Mandino once said, failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. And I just wrote some notes under that. So failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. And I've written you know, how determination will help you overcome adversity. Is what keeps us motivated, even if we have failed in business ventures in the past. It's what helps us ignore the words of skeptics. And the best thing about being determined is that, these are my words, it makes adversity bearable to the extent that you don't even realize you're experiencing challenges because you're so committed to achieving your goal.
Yeah.
No negative thoughts, waves of fear or obstacles can stand in our way of success. And I think you've got to be careful that you manage this and you're not stressed out. But I think that being uncomfortable just becomes a way of life. You know, you're sort of comfortable with the unknown. You know, I mean, if you're in the Kindle business, when you're launching a series, you don't know how it's going to go. You've got every bit of energy and hope that it's going to go to the top. But it's sometimes, I know, I was speaking to a very big author yesterday, actually, who's a friend, and she was saying that, you know, she gets so scared at a book launch, you know, the run up to it and the work they do. She does a little bit of she's one of these authors that she'll publish 6 books a year, and she's on like 100K a month. It's a really successful author, had been around for a while. But she was saying that, you know, the amount of work, and she said, it's just, I'm on edge all week, the first 7 days of a book launch. But you sort of get used to, okay, that's happened there, so I need to move that there, and that becomes normal. And I'm getting better at that. Just pivoting all the time. Pivot. Okay, that's not working. Pivot. Whereas in the world of law, it was very stringent in terms of what we were doing. It was very set, and certainly in policing, guidelines that you can't pivot for obvious reasons. So that was a bit of a new skill for me to actually learn more resilience. Determination's a no-brainer for me because I didn't want to go back to what I had. I want to do a ton of stuff. So determination is never a problem, but for me, fear is. And so it's sort of when you've got determination and the fear kicks in, that's when you can just sort of ride the wave, you know, and just keep going. Of course, do your due diligence, like we always talk about here. Don't do anything that's going to be really risky if you're uncomfortable with that.
When you say fear, you're talking about fear in what sense? Like, give me an example of fear.
You got to be careful about fear and how you handle it, you know, because I remember thinking, oh, you know, this is so great. What if it went, you know? And it did a little bit, and I got hacked. So just be really careful what you put out there, because I hung out in that energy for quite a while. You know, those sorts of things. It's that sort of monkey mind, isn't it? It's that sort of, you know, you're too busy, you can't do anything else, or you can't do that, and then you know, so that sort of thing. It's those niggly personality things that come up throughout the day, and even things like we're booking a trip and I didn't press the button to pay yesterday, and I thought I'd sleep on it, and that's sort of, I'm thinking, what's that about? You know, am I worried that I'm not going to get that, earn that? I can earn that. You know, it's that sort of thing. So it's just a shift from that mindset of set income and the mindset of thinking big, planning big, focusing on big, and then just use the magic that you have, which is the energy that you have to bring it all in. So it's those old pieces that come in. It's going to be different for everyone, but I'm sort of talking about that, your personality that crops in throughout the day, you know, like the you that's been created over 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, and whatever age you are. And it's that sort of, oops, there you go. That's not my soul. That's my mind. That's my personality. Change it. This is where I talk about Joe Dispenza and his meditations. So it's sort of like, no, change, you know, and then pivot. So yeah, it's that sort of thing. But fear is going to be different for different people, losing something, or fear of not being able to do it.
Or what other people think, right?
What other people think. Oh yeah.
For me, when I quit Walgreens, that was a big one, right? Because my mom was like, you got the insurance, right? Other people would say you have the insurance. And as soon as I quit, guess what happened? I went into, and at that time, I was always in the hospital. If it was a month, I was in the hospital 2 to 3 times out of a month. So at that time, I went into a really bad crisis, and I ended up being
after you quit.
After I quit. Right. Yeah. So all of the negative naysayers are like, see, told you would need that insurance. And I ended up racking up an $18,000 hospital bill. Wow. And I didn't have, you know, my business was okay to the point where it was just about what I was making at Walgreens, right? But I didn't have 18,000.
So a risk, a big risk.
So it was a huge risk, right? But it was also a risk of, I'm going to feel like shit if I just keep working this job, and the what ifs when I'm older, like what if I would have taken a chance? I probably, right? It would have been so disappointing. So, but I ended up getting sick really bad and I remember going to St. Vincent's Hospital in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And that's when I had to learn. I had went into a 6-cell crisis so bad that I had to learn to use this right arm all over again. And I had to end up therapy, and it was stuck in a position like this, right? And the doctors was telling my mom that I'd never be able to straighten it out again. It was just stuck, and I was just so determined to. And it took me about 6 to 7 weeks of therapy and going in and just being so determined to. And they just couldn't figure it out. Like it was a mystery as to what was going on, and they thought that it was just like this clogging of blood and things that were damaged because of the sickling and everything else.
No, that's fear.
Yeah. So just quit my job, no insurance. Then I go into a terrible crisis, have this mystery that's going on here, right? New baby at home. And it was just a test. And my best
you are,
friend,
what, 20 years later going to the gym at 6 a.m. when you messaged me this morning?
Yeah. 6.
There you go.
About 5. Yep, 6 o'clock. And so it's the determination, right? The determination of, look, I don't want to be proven wrong, number one. I damn sure don't want to go through my life with my arms stuck like this. That's weird. That's not going to happen. The determination of, look, what's going to happen with my daughter, Maya, because at that time, like I said, she was just a couple of months old. There was just so many things that were thrown at me at that time. One of my best friends had just gotten killed. It was just a thing after thing after thing. My car had gotten repossessed. I remember hearing in the middle of the night these chains, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm hearing, you know how you're sleeping and you just hear something? In our backyard, we lived in a 3-story building. Me and my daughter and my daughter's mom, 3-story building, and we lived on the first floor. So I remember hearing, and the buildings that we lived in were so close. The driveway we shared was so close. I remember hearing something at night, and there was a lot of car theft in that area. So I woke up and my car was gone, and I'm thinking someone stole the car. Turns out it had gotten repossessed because I couldn't afford to. My insurance was higher than the car payment that I had. So it was just a nightmare at that time, you know. So it was just a determination of, look, what am I going to do? I hated taking the bus, and I hated having to walk all over the place. And it was just like, it's there's two things that could happen, right? You could either lay down and die, right? Or you could choose to get up. Now, here's the thing. There's certain animals that won't even bite you if you lay down and play dead, right? Like if you lay down and play dead, certain animals will be like, you know what? There's no challenge here. I'm going to leave this person alone. They just gave up. Yeah. Or you can either die, or you can get up and you can face a challenge. You can be determined, and you can risk being bitten. You either be in risk being bitten by that animal, or you could risk being bitten by life. So I had to just risk being bitten by life. And I'm like, all right, there's already these things that are happening to me. What else could happen? What else could happen? Right. So.
And I think it's about, you know, if you, and often, yeah, that fear, like you say, of thinking about what other people are thinking, because your relatives will all be thinking, why the heck did you leave? You know, now you've gone into hospital and all the things that happen.
Stupid 20-year-old, I told him, at that time I was 27. Stupid 27-year-old, you know what I mean? Yeah. We told him. So.
New baby, what's he doing, you know? And I remember family members saying, what are you doing, you know? Business. Yeah, maybe other people have created Kindle businesses, but you know, that they're over in the US or whatever. It's not, you know, it's just, I'm like, what?
And the worst is oftentimes people, this is the worst. If they won't say it to you, like someone had asked me,
say to others.
But they'll talk about themselves and they'll talk behind your back, and then you hear whisperings of it. That's the worst. Right? Because now what happens is your mind starts to wonder, well, what else are they saying about me? And then you start to have this fear that compiles on top of fear, right? And it's just, someone was asking me when I was talking about Jerry Press, did I tell her at the time, and Jerry was a female, that I didn't like her when I was working at Walgreens? And the answer is no, because she was my boss. So I'm not going up to her, you know, Jerry, I don't like you too much. So
best thing you do is just like you did, plan to get out, you know. But it's also, you know, you just got to keep fear in check, because it's just, and I've shared this before, but again, you know, some people here are new. I see fear as this little tiny 1 foot whatever green thing, like me, that's all green, ugly, whatever, going all the time, and it's like, woo, let that go. But it's powerful, because you if you've got the determination and the why, then that will erode the fear, because then you can take action, and then you know and start to move forward. But it's common for humans to embrace fear, whatever that looks like for them, you know, and that's just ego, isn't it? It's not real. But I keep saying, you know, today was my last day. What would I say to myself? Oh, wow. You got to go off and travel more. You got to get bigger. You got to, you know, do all of these things. And I'm trying to live life like that, because it's very easy when you get some success as well, that you sort of stay there. And I haven't done that particularly, but I was sort of thinking the other day, why have I taken like 2 years to launch more pen names? It's just, why did I do that? And I think it was possibly it was budget or time or whatever. But that in itself is a little bit weird, going brand new again into a you know, with new pen names. But now I'm thinking, whoa, I just need to get as many out as possible. But then I guess you then have the confidence, the experience to know what you're doing. So you're not going to make the mistakes that you made at the beginning. And, you know, anyone that's in the fast past won't be making mistakes like that. They'll make their own. But some of the mistakes that I made were costly by doing the not embracing our strategy, you know, doing things a little bit wrong. So I think it's I said at the live event, didn't I, action erodes fear. I think that the more you do, the more knowledge you get and experience, then that will overcome the fear. And then you just got to cut out all the noise and anyone else. And my thing is, if I'm speaking to people in my previous life, people not in this community, or even in this community, and I feel horrible when I'm speaking to them, I feel rubbish, unless they're my family member, I just don't bother with people that make me feel like that, because it's off, and it could be me, but I don't deal with people that make me feel off anymore. And that's something that being your own boss, you can control a little bit more than if you worked in a company where you've got to deal with the people that are placed in front of you. Most people are lovely, but you get your odd person like you did, that can make you not feel great about going in the day. Family members is different, isn't it? You sort of love them, but you can do that at a distance as well.
Yeah, and I've gotten really good at telling people that there's certain things I don't want to hear. So I actually had to do this with someone yesterday who was going down this pathway in our conversation of things that I just didn't think was beneficial to him or to me, right? So I'm like, look, we're just having a great conversation. Let's switch the conversation, right? This does not benefit either one of us. Or my older brother, who I'm really good at. He has this affinity for sharing the negative news that's going on in his local area all the time, right? And I'm like, look, doesn't benefit me. Really doesn't benefit you either, so I don't want to hear it. And sometimes I could say it that way to him, or sometimes I could say it in a different way where he's really clear. Look, I don't want to hear this crap, right? I told you before, I don't want to hear it. And he's gotten really good at not presenting it to me. So I think the best ways to handle fear are, number one, for me, the best way to handle fear is kind of pivoting a little bit, is just realizing that we're all human. And that every single human, regardless of who you are, feels fear. So when I have that fear, I say, okay, this is the primitive version of me that's feeling this fear. This is something that's part of me, but I'm supposed to feel. There's no way I'm gonna ever get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
True.
But
Yeah.
I can't just push past it. I could sit there, and meditation helps with this big time too, because I can sit there and I can kind of analyze things. I could feel that emotion, and I could say, oh, there's fear right there. And then push past it. Natural. So there's always going to be a battle within your mind, like more than there's not going to be.
Yeah, and also, that thing about acknowledging it is important, isn't it? Not pushing it against. Because what I say is, okay, well, that's understandable. I'm going to feel like that because that happened in the past, or I did have a long period of time when I didn't have what I needed, wanted, whatever. So that's understandable that I'm going to feel like that. However, that was the old life. And I didn't know different then. And now I know now I know different things, and I know different things about life and different things about who I really am and different things about that. And so I think that's a great one. And Carrie's been putting some great stuff in the chat as well. I'll have a look. I haven't been reading it out, but how I go for a walk and just say, okay, that's understandable because this happened. It's coming from memory. However, my new story, because we create our realities, is X, and then I focus on that. And every hour, do you know what I've been doing? Every hour now, I'll just stop for a couple of minutes and I'll just daydream.
Oh, nice.
And then feel it, and it's amazing, whatever it is, on the beach, whatever, daydream. And it's amazing how things turn out when you do that.
I like that.
I'd had a delay with a contract coming through from a publisher, and I was sort of daydreaming about it. I was daydreaming about the future in relation to this work that I've been doing. And then within a few hours, the contract came through and a lovely email saying, guess what? Some nice things that I wanted to see. So, it's amazingly powerful how you can do it. And and then I sort of daydream about the afternoon, going, well, just little daydream, just a few minutes, really powerful. And then your whole body feels different. You just feel that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. That's your soul. inner being saying, yeah, you got this, it's good. And that's really powerful. It's very Neville Goddardy, isn't it? But wish fulfillment every hour. And that's really, really powerful. So if anyone's new to any of this, I'm sure you're not. But Neville Goddard is a great person to have a look up on YouTube. Some of his teachings were phenomenal. So yeah, that's a great thing to do, especially if you're feeling fear.
Yeah. I like that technique because if you think about it, look, we're all daydreaming multiple times, hundreds of times, thousands of times a day anyway. But most of our daydreams are automatic and they're negative.
Yeah.
We're thinking about something maybe that happened in the past. We're thinking about or anticipating something that's going to happen in the future. And if you think about it, we're never really thinking about the present. So what you're doing is you're going in and you're thinking about the present, but you're being very intentional in doing that instead of letting your autopilot systems run. Right. So that's a beautiful exercise.
And just those stop. I mean, I set the alarm to do it now because I get so carried away in work. I literally don't, I think, oh my gosh, I haven't gone for a walk, going out for a walk at night now. So I get so carried away. Which is great because it means you enjoy what you do. But even if you do like every hour or 2 hours, whatever it is, of a bit of a wow, this is amazing, just a gratitude session as well, that can work. But it's incredible the physicality of that and what happens to your body when you do that. You just feel, calm, ready for anything. And so because when we're not doing that intentionally, it's about being intentional, isn't it, every day? When we're not doing that, the daydreams are actually, sometimes I can daydream conversations and they're not very good. They might be past conversations. There might be a conversation where I wish something had gone differently. Really, I mean, my mind, honestly, that's why I like to switch it off and meditate. It's just so, is your mind like that? It's just there all the time.
So look, I was going to ask everyone who else has a mind like that? Who else does that? If it's just you, just put me or just something in there, right? Because every single one of us, I'm glad that you brought that up because no one that's watching this right now is exempt from that. No one is exempt from the wandering of the mind. And again, when that wandering, Napoleon Hill talks about it in his book, Outwitting the Devil.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Where you're just continuously wandering until you start to become aware of it. Which is the beautiful thing about being part of this group of 3%ers is because you start to become aware of it and then you can recognize it and then you can say, okay, well, there's that thought again. Let me switch it. That's the beautiful thing about being human is we could switch it. Like we could switch it. Now, when you first learn this stuff, you could switch it, but then it'll come right back. You could switch it and it'll come right back. Shows you the persistence of the mind, but you can train your mind to be persistent in the right direction as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I daydream a lot in the shower. I take ages in the shower, like 20 minutes in there, daydreaming, planning, come out with great ideas. But I found myself, my daughter's going through a lot at the moment. I found myself having this conversation in my head about what I'd say to this person that's hurt her bad, It's not very nice, this conversation. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just like making up a conversation in my head. I don't want to have a conversation with this person. But I'm thinking, I've just spent like about 3 minutes of my precious energy thinking about a conversation I want to have because someone's hurt, my daughter. And I'm like, oh gosh, pivot, it's incredible. It's so powerful. These thoughts are so powerful because as soon as I thought about it, I felt sick inside in my stomach. So, it's so powerful. So it's like, woo, here we go. Don't be that girl, don't be that, excuse me, person who focuses on things like that. What do I want? What do I want for her? I want the best for her. And I'm not going to do any good if I'm putting that into the energy atmosphere and she's actually doing pretty well, So they're there all the time, these thoughts, conversations, things that you're not happy about in your head. And it is just being conscious of it and going, whoop, stop. And the other thing that I say is when these thoughts come up, I'll just say, okay, so is this thought leading me to what I want or away from what I want? And it's as simple as that, isn't it? It's like, no, that's taking me the opposite way. So change your thought, not push against it all the time because you end up just going crazy, but just acknowledging, okay, there it is again. you know.
Yeah, but you also get really good at, with time, you get good at that becoming part of your new automatic process, right? So you start to see less of those thoughts, which then in turn helps you, right? So it's the continued practice of it until it becomes part of your personality. And then now when you don't do it, something feels off. Versus now when it does happen, something feels off, right? So it's like you were talking about me going to the gym. It's even when we're traveling, if I don't go to the gym when we're in the hotel, or if I don't go out to a Planet Fitness and find one, if the hotel's gym isn't good, then something feels a little bit off, right? So it becomes this new personality there.
Yeah. That's the good thing, isn't it? Because our emotions let us know if it feels off, don't do it or don't think it. That's the great thing. And as you become more aware of all of this and practice it, and it is intentional practicing all through the day, then you'll get this powerful feeling of that's good guidance system telling me that's not a good thought, or telling me that I don't want that, or whatever. And then you can move into a different thought swiftly without it having any momentum. But if you hang out there in a couple of minutes, then watch what happens next.
Right.
So if I hang out there in a couple of minutes, what happened after I got out of the shower? I banged my arm on the side of the tap when I was like, ow, that's what happened. So it's just, okay, there it is, that thought, but I'm not going to hang out there for more than a couple of seconds. And it's powerful stuff. When you can master this, it gets easier and easier, doesn't it? And it's great when you feel off about things, certain conversations, certain thoughts. When you feel off, that's great. That shows you're changing, or you've changed.
Especially in the morning, right? Like that's the most important time of the day to change when these thoughts take place is in the morning. Because that's when we're waking up, and maybe we're going to a job that we don't want to go to. Maybe we got to face a task that we don't want to go to face, right? And then subconsciously, our subconscious is dealing with that and rejecting that thing that we have to go to, or those people that we have to see, right? So for me, I like to make sure that my morning is conditioned in a way where if I ever feel those thoughts, the first thing I'll do is maybe I'll put something that's inspirational or empowering on. It could be a audio book. It could be a YouTube video. It could be a personal development message. It could be a message from Bishop T.D. Jakes. It could be a message from Joel Osteen. It could be music. So I'm a big fan of putting music on. I got to use my AirPods because my wife does not do the music thing in the morning, right? But if I put one of those things on and I'm in a so-so mood when I first wake up, I am like fantastic after 10 or 15 minutes, right? Because you're changing that. And that's it. That's part of the determination, right? That part of that helps you. I think the biggest aspect of finding what determines is going to push that determination button for you is going to be your why. Like all of this basically leads to, why are you doing this? Because if you don't have the reason why, look, me simply going to the gym is because I'm a skinny guy. I'm 165 pounds, 6 feet tall. I wear a medium shirt. And my determination is I don't want to have a pot belly, because a skinny guy with a pot belly, you look like a letter B, a lowercase letter B. And if you guys remember, we were at the water park one day. My daughter Summer was like 5 or 6 years old. I just got off a water ride. I had my A shirt on. She points to my stomach in front of everyone and says, "Dad, you look like a letter B." And from that moment on, that was it.
I love kids. They're so honest, aren't they?
They're so honest, right? I really wish that, look, if you want to know about yourself, ask a kid. If you really want to know about yourself, ask a kid. I love that, Christina. That was beautiful, Christina Edwards.
My children had this thing about being really honest when they were little. It could be quite embarrassing in public places. They still are really honest. I'd wake up to music.
There's like 30 people around, and she says, "Dad, you look like a lowercase letter B," and points to my stomach. I wanted to shrink right then and there.
It's not as bad as when Maliha was it Maliha or Anisha were trying shoes on in a shoe shop where they got their feet measured and everything. And Maliha said, Mummy, why does that lady have grass over growing out of her legs? Oh,
Right.
Yeah, not good. But the other thing is that I think that with the whole music thing, and I listened to a really nice Abraham Hicks Good Morning meditation. I just have that on in the AirPods, not like doing my affirmations and everything. It's called Good Morning meditation, but it's like a rampage of sort of appreciation. It's not actually meditation. So I do it when I'm walking around the house, you know, making coffee, that sort of thing. But the children now have all we've always had a piano. And the children play really well. And I wake up every morning to them playing the piano, either just the two of them or when Anisha's home, they're all playing it. They're getting so good. And so that's nice. But Indy's just got an electric guitar. So I've got music going on all the time at the moment.
I love it. That's the one to play. If you got to play a guitar, electric or bass guitar, that's the way.
And he's good. He's just teaching himself on YouTube. Who needs a teacher, you know?
Yeah, that is awesome. Really cool. All right, guys.
It is awesome. Yeah, we're nearly on the hour time.
We're on the hour. I want to leave this. Christina said, my son told me once that when he was about 5, and that's the age, right? My daughter was about 5 or 6 when she said this, maybe 7. If my stomach grows any bigger, I will not be able to make any new friends in the future, right? So this is what Christina's 5-year-old told her back in the day. So yeah, absolutely. If you want to know about yourself, ask a kid. You can just simply say, what do you think of me? And they will tell you with no hesitation, no, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine were very much like that. Still are, actually. So thanks for your feedback. But I wanted to say a couple of things before we leave, actually. There's been some great chat and I've not been able to keep up with it. I don't know why, but I've been so focused on what I was going to say this today. So I hope you've all been keeping an eye on so many great things going in the chat there. But I just wanted to say a couple of things that I'd sort of missed. First of all, I want to say love to you, Jane Johnson. I know you reached out to me on Instagram and I've not got back to you yet. But I think you've been you've been a bit ill in hospital. So sending you love and I hope you're very, very well. And anyone else that's going through that sort of thing at the moment. But I also want to, and this wasn't in the chat, but I also want to say a huge, great, big, massive congratulations to Dina Muzzy. I don't think she's got a camera on because it's really, really early where she is, who got engaged, I think about a week ago. Wow. And it was so beautiful and she so deserves it for a number of reasons. And what was so beautiful about this, I showed the children this, is on Facebook, her partner engaged to her daughter, proposed to her daughter as well, asking whether daughter would accept him. Oh my goodness, the little girl cries. That was it for me. It was just a beautiful, beautiful video. Pretty sure, I think I saw that on Facebook. No, she could have sent that to me separately, but I just want to say massive congratulations. She's just awesome. She's just come into the Fast Pass like a month ago. And she's doing amazingly already. Her so it's Dina, D-I-N-A, D-I-N-A.
Congrats, Dina. That's huge. Beautiful.
Absolutely fabulous. So congratulations. And it's really, really lovely how he did it. It's just super. She's very happy. So I'm very happy for her.
All right. And a belated Mother's Day to all of the moms that are here as well. And to everyone who may have had a mom that may have passed, right? So happy Mother's Day happy Heavenly Mother's Day, I guess. My daughter Maya was having a very hard time yesterday. Mother's Day are hard for me as well. So she's like, Dad, you know, I'm having a very hard time because her and my mom were really close. They lived together towards the end of my mom's life and everything else. And so every time Mother's Day comes around, there's a very hard time. And speaking of determination, I'm like, Maya, look, so the best thing that you can do is you could take all of grandma's lessons and apply them to your children, right? Because she left us with some great jewels and gems, and that will be the way that you carry on her legacy. She's always here with us. So if you guys,
I think probably Maya feels it more because she's got her babies.
Yeah.
now,
Oh,
and then you
that's a good
feel
point.
it even more, don't you? Because she's a mum.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that about you, that, you know, you reached out to me yesterday, just doing that. And I was thinking about when I realized it was Mother's Day, end of the day for me. Then you were, you know, you did that, and I was thinking of you on that day, because I know it's tough for anyone who's lost people. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, we
But
went
yeah,
out to dinner,
happy
and
Mother's Day, guys.
we went out to dinner with my wife and all the kids, and then my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law. And I was kind of quiet for like the first 10 or 15 minutes, and I didn't realize it. But I'm thinking about my mom, and my wife, she's like, "What's wrong? You all right? Are you okay?" And sometimes we don't realize the mode that we're in, right? But someone else sees it. And I was like, you know what? You know that I'm always thinking about my mom, because she would have been at the table with us,
Yeah.
telling jokes and, you know, having everyone laugh and everything else. But look, have a happy Mother's Day to everyone. Belated Mother's Day. We did not get a chance to tell you yesterday. All right. And if you have a mother or a great grandmother, or someone that acted as the mom, dads, you guys can be moms too. For a period of my life, I raised my daughter Maya by myself for her first, for first 7, not first 7, the 7 years after her first birthday. So
Wow.
from 2 to like 7. So happy Mother's Day to the dads as well. We have our day coming up in a month or so. All right.
Do you have your day in June like we do?
What's that?
Do you have Father's Day in June like we do?
Is it? Yeah, there you
Or
go.
do you do a different one? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we do
Actually,
have
yeah,
Father's
because it's an American thing. We always say, oh yeah, it's an American thing.
Yeah.
Father's Day, Mother's Day was a British thing. We
There
didn't
we
do
go.
Father's Day. We didn't acknowledge them at all in the
So
UK.
third Sunday in June, they're putting in the chat box there, right?
Yeah.
Father's Day is a slightly lesser celebrated holiday, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's an easier role, isn't it?
Yeah, the card section is like 1/4 of that of a Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Right, so, all right, guys, have a good one. We'll see you. Stay well. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Take care. See you Wednesday. Great guest coming on Wednesday. We'll see you then.